How we doing today, guys? It's Ryan and EJ here with your fishing report this week. So starting off real quick, we have been getting a good rockfish bite pretty much all over the place. I've been fishing mostly north of the bridge, trolling channel edges like above the Baltimore Light, Belvedere Shoals area. Been really good there. I actually caught up to like 26-inch class fish this past week, so really good there. EJ, I know you've been doing some more light tackle trolling in the rivers.
Yeah. So there's two different ways I like to do it in the fall. And this is my absolute most favorite time of the year to fish. The fish are mean, they're aggressive, and they're fat. Really good class of fish in the rivers, and like Ryan was saying, in those channel ledges, but also at the bridge. So when I troll in the rivers, I like to downsize because I think they're eating that peanut bunker, and I like to try to kind of simulate that. My sweet spot is one single swim shad, and I really like the holographics. I like the brown and the blue, and a 1 ounce jig head. And I do skirt these as well, Ryan. So like I'll put a colored contrasted skirt on it, and so it looks something like this. You get the idea, these three things together, these components. Now, what I do with this, and I've had a lot of customers come in here and we talked about this, and the big question is how far do you put it back?
Right.
And there's no real science to it. So what I do is I'll take if I can kind of give you like a perspective, I'll take a 6'6", 2500 reel, and I'll let my swim shad out, and I'll go 1, 2, and I might do 8 on this one, I'll do 10 on another one, and then on the other side of the boat I'll do like 12 and maybe 14. So I don't know exactly how far out it is, but they're different depths. And I'm fishing and I'm trolling in relatively shallow water, so around that 12 to say 20 foot range. And I've been getting them this year a lot more on the shallower side, so between 12 and 15 foot. It's a lot of fun trolling this small stuff with your spinning equipment. You fighting a 25-inch rockfish that's mean and hungry, and your rod goes like this. You better hold on. I actually did lose a rod and reel because I was reeling one in and sat it down because I had a hit. Another fish took it, and so out there in the Magothy swims my Daiwa Arid Coastal and my Noski 2500. So
but touching on that shallower water, we've been catching them like on the shallower edges of the channel, so like where there's a couple humps on those Belvedere Shoals, even like as shallow as 16 feet, and then it drops off to like 20 or 25. They're sitting on the backside of those humps a lot. That's where we picked up all 4 of our fish this past week.
So speaking of humps, if you guys have ever heard of the sewer pipe, which I'm sure many of you have, that's been red hot lately. So I've been going after work for a couple of hours, and most of the time it doesn't take a couple of hours. You just get on top of the fish and you can just have fun for as long as you want to. There's a lot of charter boats over at the sewer pipe. They're live lining, most of them, but the jigging bite over at the sewer pipe has been phenomenal. And the jigging bite over at the bridge has been really good too. Here's my advice to anyone. I mean, if you talk to 15 people, they'll tell you 15 different ways of doing this. Yes, but I'm going to tell you what works for me. I stay away from the crowds, and I find the fish. The fish are always at the bridge. You just have to get to them. So don't burn your whole day up at one piling. Move. I'll do 2 or 3 casts at one piling. If I don't get anything, I'm moving. And don't be afraid. Here's another little tip here, at least it's worked for me. Don't be afraid to change your colors. So the water's been relatively dirty from all the rain and so forth. And I tried my own little scientific experiment here. I've had chartreuse and white and so forth and didn't get anything at the same piling. And I switched to black. And when I say black, it's kind of like this black with a little bit of white on it or silver on the bottom. The key to using these darker baits, for me anyway, is to have color contrast. So this is actually the exact jig head, the exact skirt, and the exact BKD that I caught my fish on the night before last. And it was a really nice class of fish. They were in that mid to upper 20s, even to 30 inches. And that's a lot of fun. So don't be afraid to go dark with these soft plastics. And again, if again, everybody has their own way of doing it. If I gave you one piece of advice with the jigging piece of it, especially for those who are new to this, absolutely 1,000%. Once you jig up, hold it on the way down, because all of my strikes have happened on the way down.
Yeah, they almost always will.
Exactly. And if you have that slack in the line, the fish has sucked it in and spit it out, and you don't even know. So you will feel that distinct thud, and that's when the fun begins and that adrenaline shoots through your body, and you're excited. So it's good stuff. The other thing too, since we're talking about the bridge, and there's a lot of good action there, my sweet spot personally is 1/3 to 1 ounce jig head at the bridge, because you know how that current can rip through there.
Definitely.
And it's been ripping every time that I've been through. I want to get down on those ledges quick, get it in that strike zone, because you only have a few seconds when that tide's really, and the wind is blowing. When it's blowing you and the tide's moving, you have a few seconds to fish. I want to get it down there quick.
Especially as it gets colder, those fish are going to be deeper in the water column.
Exactly.
So moving up again about the rivers, Magothy, Severn in our area has been really good for pickerel fishing. I myself have been doing a good bit of that the last 2 weeks. I've been pretty successful with a good class of pickerel around 20 to 25 inches. Now when I'm fishing for those, I want to fish pretty light stuff. So this bullseye spinnerbait in the 1/8 ounce has been the ticket for me, and then I'm just putting on the back of that a 3.5 inch paddle tail. This one's the saltwater assassin in the northern minnow color. That's been really good for me. I've also caught yellow perch on that exact setup. So and then I also actually forgot about this. I did actually catch a snakehead on that exact lure too.
Nice.
So I know they're still in the Severn and the Magothy, and people have been seeing them. They're a little bit tougher in our area as opposed to like Blackwater or something like that for some reason. But definitely get out there. You can definitely have a good multi-species day on the Magothy or the Severn with multiple perch, pickerel, snakehead.
I agree with you. I can attest to the pickerel fishing, and pickerel fishing is only going to get better as we get a little bit colder. So I accidentally caught pickerel right there off of my boat lift. I mean, I was on the boat just goofing around and throwing, and what I was throwing was your good old handy dandy perch hounder. And I'll get Lindsay to post a picture of this thing with this in its mouth. And not only did I get the pickerel, and it was a nice size one, but I was still catching keeper size perch up in there, believe it or not. I mean, I know this time of year, a lot of the perch move to the deeper holes. You can get them at Pedickery, or you can get them at Thomas Point.
And you're talking about white perch, right?
Exactly, white perch. But they're still up. There's still some of them up there. I think that water temperature's still in that upper 50s, 60-ishes. Yep, and some of them are still hanging out up there, so don't be surprised if you don't end up hooking into, a few.
And then bear with us, guys. I know this is a little bit going on a little bit long, but we also do have some reports. I personally have been down Ocean City in the last week. I know EJ, you've had some family friends are down there fishing for tog. Me personally, I was inside the inlet fishing for tog, fishing with just our fresh bait shrimp and a tog jig, and we were hammering them. Probably got 30 in maybe 2 hours, but no keepers quite yet. I know the bigger ones move in towards like November and December. And they got to be 16 inches. We were catching them like 15 and a half all day.
So they're there.
Yeah, they're definitely there.
They're the keepers are there,
Ryan.
You just missed them. So my wife and I just went down to Bethany, and we have relatives that live down there, and they went out and they limited it out like within an hour.
Really?
And here's the other thing too. So for you guys who fish off of that Route 50 bridge there, that comes into the inlet. We went that way to hit a coffee shop and ended up in traffic, and I was watching the guys pull the tog off of that bridge. And I think everybody's using green crab, and they're using peeler and that sort of thing, so your traditional baits.
I've also seen many rockfish and even flounder pulled off that bridge still.
And what's really interesting is the relative that we have down there was catching keeper size rockfish off the surf mixed in with bluefish already. So that's a lot of fun, and that's big news.
Yep. So I think that about does it for this week.
Well, let's hit crabbing real quick.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, because crabbing, guys, believe it or not, crabbing is red hot right now.
Yeah.
We have several employees who go all the time here at the store, Joe being one of them, and they're doing really well. So north of the bridge, the Magothy, then your traditional spots over on the Eastern Bay, Crab Alley, that sort of area there, Marshy Creek and all, they're still getting them. Just go a little bit deeper.
Yep. And those crabs are going to be nice and thick.
All their
too.
hammers, they're huge.
They're nice and heavy.
Yes.
Definitely makes for a good meal.
For sure. I think that's it, right?
Yep. All right. Have a good one, guys.
Take care, guys.